Thanks for joining us once again. I'm Lynn Doyle. This is It's Your Call, and our topic is the fallout from bin Laden's death. A lot of different issues that are being debated. Several here on the show include enhanced interrogation techniques and whether or not they are warranted to get information that might lead to getting someone like bin Laden. We've given you an opportunity to tell us what you think, and that one got an overwhelming response. We ask, are enhanced interrogation techniques ever warranted? And here's a sample of some of what you had to say. Anthony says, if everyone justified their means to an end, we would just end up with more of what we have now, which is violence, corruption, etc. Warranted is in the eyes of the beholder. Craig, though, disagrees. He simply states, any means necessary, period. And John thinks, quote, as long as we accept that it gives our enemies moral authority to use enhanced interrogation techniques on American captives, if we can accept that, then move along with it. That's a point that I do want to ask you about, because on one hand, you say, well, does it give license to other countries to use those techniques on our soldiers or civilians to get information, or are they going to do it regardless of how we treat their captives?
Well, they behead our people. I mean, it's an odd moral equivalence, because in one case we have a very small number under extreme circumstances where we go to the Department of Justice and say, look, would you guys look at this and let us know what we can do, short of what most people would call torture. And I go back to waterboarding. If you're going to call it torture, then you have to say that the United States government routinely tortures its own, because in my training, I was waterboarded 3 times.
That's exactly what one of our viewers wrote and said, quote, waterboarding is used in the U.S. military training program for SERE. Over 29,000 have gone through it.
Right. It seems obvious to us that we're the good guys and the terrorists are the bad guys. It's not so obvious in other parts of the world where we're viewed as crusaders who are engaged in a struggle far from our shores. I think we need to show in every way we can that we're the good guys. We really are the good guys. They cut off heads. We don't engage in torture. It's one way to show that we're the good guys.
It's about winning. It's about beating them.
We are winning,
Ed.
We are winning.
Jan, we're winning because during the Bush administration, as distasteful as it was, they decided in some extreme cases that they were going to do this. And is it better, by the way, is it better to just say, oh, okay, I'm going to send a Predator drone up and we'll kill whoever's in the way?
You admit it was only used 3 times, and we're not sure if we got anything from those 3
times.
Oh,
no. We know from General Hayden, the previous head of the CIA, and Leon Panetta would not rule it out and actually said, well, it's part of a whole bunch of things we did.
All right, Wanda actually agrees with Ed, says, sometimes we need to do extreme things for the sake of the world. Why should the USA be the good guy all the time? It's like having a kid. Sometimes they need extra punishment to make the point. If you want to make your point, you can email me at lynn@lynndoyle.net. So our final question here as we face off on the fallout from bin Laden's death is, what's next? Is Al-Qaeda going to mobilize and become even stronger than it was before, or do you think the death of bin Laden now will render it less of a threat to us?
Well, I think we're winning. I think our intelligence services and our military feel renewed sense of confidence that we're going to win. And I think the terrorists have to be discouraged. They know that we have the resources and the means to hunt them down. So I think we've advanced the ball down the field significantly.
We broke their back in Iraq, in Western Anbar, when our Marines used David Petraeus' plan to push him out of there. They overplayed their hand. They killed too many of their own people in Iraq and in Jordan. And today, Lynn, the problem is that the top 3 operational people in Al-Qaeda are all American citizens. 1 born in the U.S., the other 2 naturalized. We've got a bit of a homegrown problem to deal with.
So what do we do? How do we deal with that?
It's a combination of good law enforcement, good intelligence work, and where necessary, military operations. Even every once in a while, you may have to do an enhanced interrogation.
Are those American citizens on American soil, or
no?
Are they
they're
elsewhere?
Overseas, and in fact, one of them, Al-Waki, who is this guy born in New Mexico, head of Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, the president has signed a kill order for him. There's been no trial. Here's part of the problem too. We have Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. We've got to give him a trial in Manhattan, which is what the administration wanted to do, with full constitutional rights. And he's not an American citizen, but an American citizen will kill with a Predator drone. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm saying you can't reconcile those two positions.
We can't be engaged in combat in so many countries all over the world. We know that now. And I think we ought to use this opportunity with this victory to re-examine our military engagement in so many countries around the world. Do we really need to stay in Iraq? Do we really need to stay in Afghanistan now that bin Laden has been killed? And, you know, is the Taliban really an existential threat to the United States? I think these are all questions that we need to and are in fact going to be revisited.
Taliban were never an existential threat to us, and Jan's right. The administration is going to use this to say bin Laden's dead, Al-Qaeda's out, let's get out of Afghanistan, and guess what? People on the left and on the right are actually going to come together on that. Maybe not in a majority number, but there's going to be a lot of agreement. This war's lasted too long, and they're not worth fighting for in some cases.
That's one thing both the guests here today agree on. I'm sure you do as well. Ed Trzanski, great to have you back with us. Thank you very much, Jan Ting. Always wonderful to have you two together. Thank you so much for joining us. Email me at lynn@lynndoyle.net and tell me what you think. Good night.